start the fight, breaking down the walls in the dead of night. I don't come for peace, I come for the storm. Fanboys melt quick when the truth gets warm. Saw content's high, I'm collecting those tears. Just got started, but I'm cutting through fears. I'm not here for brand deals, I'm not for sale. I expose your lies, rip off the veil.
Oh boy, Nintendo Primey is at it again. He is perfectly okay with Nintendo invading your privacy. Let's get into it.
This first story we have here, you see, Nintendo reserves the right to brick your console following unauthorized use in a bid to prevent piracy.
Oh, bullshit. They just want to sit there and invade your privacy with that new chat feature. So I would advise nobody to not pay for that overpriced chat feature.
What's very interesting about this update here, as you go in here, you know, it talks about unauthorized use. It talks about the license key of digital products and Nintendo accounts and all of this stuff. It says, you know, any digital products registered to your Nintendo account.
They're only doing this because they don't want you to back up your games on your PC and end up using an emulator, which is all perfectly legal. If you sit there, have a legal copy of the game, you want to back it up to the computer to play on an emulator, that is all perfectly legal. This ain't piracy. They just want to stop you from doing that.
And any updates such as digital product are licensed for only personal and non-commercial use on a user device. Digital products must not be used for any other purpose in particular without NOE's written consent. Yada, 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 yada. Basically, they're saying they have the ability to delete, ban your account or the system associated to it.
So pretty much if you try to back up your files without written consent from Nintendo, they're going to sit there and break your console. It's one thing to delete your account. That's not that big of a deal. But to break your console to where it's completely useless? What happens if you want to sell? What happens if someone's borrowing it and someone does that crap? That's not right.
What's interesting about this story isn't so much that the headlines are incorrect. It's that, guys, this is literally nothing new. Nintendo's been doing this since the consoles first got internet access on the Wii and DS. This is not a new policy. People are acting like this is new and like, ooh, boo on you, big evil Nintendo. And hey, I'm not saying that this is good. What I am saying is that this isn't.
It doesn't matter if it's not nothing new. But there is something that's new. With the whole game chat feature thing, it allows them to record what you're saying. So essentially, you could say something they don't like and they could throw a temper tantrum over it. Because we know how petty Nintendo can be.
Unusual. Nintendo's had this ability the whole time. They have many stories have broken over the years of Nintendo bricking systems because of it breaking the end user license agreement. This is literally like common. And by the way, this language they have also exists on PlayStation, Xbox.
Doesn't make it right just because it exists on there. We should be all fighting against this. If you buy your system, you should be able to use that system as you see fit. You own that actual system. Now, it's one thing if you're trying to sit there and put illegal stuff onto the system. That's one thing. That's different. But adding a software to it to allow you to turn the game you own into a ROM is not illegal. And you know that's what they're trying to do.
Even Steam. So it's common language. I think people are grabbing onto things that, yes, it sucks that this language exists, but it's also industry standard. So let's move on.
No, let's not move on. How are you okay with them recording your audio with that chat feature? So get this straight. You have to pay to use the chat feature, and on top of it, you're getting your privacy invaded. So you're paying to have them invade your privacy. Make that make sense.
Now, Nintendo seems to be offering these sorts of updates on their games practically for free. But obviously, third parties are free to do what they want, call it what they want, charge what they want. So we just have to leave it at that.
No, we don't. What do you mean they're practically charging upgrades for free? Okay, both the Zelda games are like $20 upgrade editions or $10 upgrade editions or whatever the hell they are. That's ridiculous. They're doing the bare minimum for crying out loud and they want you to pay for it. No, that's not even right. And what do you mean that they can't control what third parties do? Of course they do. It's their platform. They could be like, no, you will not do this, or you will. If you do this, you will not release it on our platform. It is that simple. Hold Nintendo to the fire. Stop being a coward, Primey.
Another thing that we do need to talk about, though, and this is a really crappy thing from Nintendo and is not necessarily standard, although they aren't the first person to do this. They made another change to their end user license agreement, and this applies very broadly, not just to their consoles, but their theme parks and stuff. And it's important that I note that because Nintendo is pushing something that actually has been shot down in court and may not be legal.
This is shocking. Let's find out. Let's sit there and see if he actually does sit there and point this out. My guess is he's just going to gloss over it like he always does, make it not seem like it's that big of a deal and move on.
A new update to Nintendo's EULA prevents users from filing class action lawsuits against them. People will know that Disney had a very similar one here. It says, many pointed out, Disney did a similar thing with a couple who attended a Disneyland park who couldn't sue the company for the wife's fatal allergic reaction because they had a Disney Plus subscription and they had agreed to the Disney Plus EULA. Thankfully, this didn't stand up in court. So the big thing about this isn't...
Yeah, thank God it didn't stand up in court. That's just ridiculous. But Nintendo wants to do the same thing. How does Nintendo think that that's even going to work out in the first place? But you never know. It only takes one judge to sit there and side with these damn horrible corporations.
That this isn't crappy, because this is very crappy. Nintendo trying to block class action lawsuits just for using any of their services for anything Nintendo related. But as we saw with Disney, who everyone was almost shocked that Disney lost, they weren't shocked because it wasn't the right thing to do. They were shocked because it showed big corporation that you can't just make up any policy you want and have it hold up in the court of law. And I'm guessing that Nintendo has this policy enacted more so for their theme parks, kind of like Disney, but
it doesn't matter where they sit there and have this enacted at. This is ridiculous. This should never even be okay. You should be sitting there being like, no, we're not going to support you if you're going to be doing this bullshit crap. But of course you are, Primey, because you don't stand up for anything but yourself.
Look, in the end, this is probably not legal, so I'm not like super worried about it. It is a shitty thing Nintendo put in their end user license agreement for all of their products. But again, it probably won't hold up in court. There's probably no way Nintendo can prevent class action lawsuits. Like if they're trying to prevent a class action over new Joy-Con drift or something, chances are it wouldn't legally stand up in court that they could actually enforce that part of their licensing agreement. So there you go. Still crappy Nintendo's doing it.
Of course it's still crappy that Nintendo's doing it, but I love how the only time he ever sits there and holds Nintendo to the fire about something is like, well, this is actually a pretty major thing, but we all know that's not going to go anywhere here in the United States. You can't contract outside the law in the first place, so it's not going to go nowhere, but it only takes that one judge to make it go through. But he'll sit there and go against Nintendo for these little things that don't really matter to us because it's not really going to affect us. But then when it comes to the big major things, like the overpriced console compared to Japan, or the $80 Mario Kart World, or the overpriced upgrades for like Zelda and Tears of the Kingdom and all that, he is perfectly okay with those, perfectly okay ripping us off. You want to know why? Because he gets a commission for that if you buy it through his link. You know, he don't get nothing out of it if you can't sue Nintendo or anything. So that's the only time he holds Nintendo to the fire, is when it doesn't affect his pocket.
Welcome. They're a business. And I wish they wouldn't attempt to do these things that have already been defeated in court, but it is what it is. Now, one thing we can get excited about is the level of third-party support coming to Switch 2, and we have some backing behind this.
Just like Nintendo Prime, to sit there and go from something negative, which he very rarely ever says, to something positive about the whole third-party support. Well, of course, Nintendo finally made a console where it could have better hardware to handle most of these games. But just wait until next gen, when they can no longer handle these more impressive games. Just you wait. They're going to be stuck in the same part where it's not getting that much third-party support, and they're all going to be putting them on the bigger, better platforms anyways.
We head on over here to Go Nintendo, where we see an analyst says the level of Switch 2 third-party support is something we haven't seen on Nintendo hardware maybe ever. So it says when Nintendo pulled back the curtain on Switch 2, they did so showing a strong showing of third-party support from big and small devs alike. There's definitely proof of just how far Nintendo has come in terms of relationships with other devs and publishers. And one analyst thinks that Switch 2 could be a third-party haven, unlike any other Nintendo platform in history. Speaking of games...
Yes, for now, until the next gen. Because guess what? The Wii sat there and sold a lot. It didn't have that much third-party support. The reason why Nintendo doesn't get very many third-party supports is because their hardware is terrible. It's not strong enough. It can't handle the demanding games year after year that the newer systems sit there and innovate.
Radar industry analyst Matt Piscatella talked at length about third-party support lineup for Switch 2. So here's what he said. Historically, Nintendo products get purchased to play Nintendo games, and Nintendo platforms aren't the first place people look to play third-party content if they have other ways of accessing that content. Perhaps that changes here because of that support and because of the hybrid nature of the device. Maybe we see that start to change this time.
No, it's not going to change that. Just look at the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck, like Harmon Smith loves to sit there and say, it sold like 5 million copies, which is a good thing to sell. But if that was the case and more people wanted to play a lot of those third-party games on the go, there would have been a lot more people buying a Steam Deck. But no, they didn't. You want to know where they played most of those? On the PC, on the PS5, on the Xbox. When it comes down to it, the third-party games are going to look way better on a PC, way better on the Xbox, and way better on a PS5 compared to the Switch 2. The Switch 2's hardware is just not strong enough to sit there and allow those games to look as good.
It's going to be super interesting to watch because we haven't seen this level of support maybe ever, but at least for a long time, maybe even since the GameCube. In terms of that third-party partnership approach, that's not something Nintendo had really pushed so much in prior launches.
Because Nintendo's hardware was terrible. Be honest there, Primey. You know that Nintendo's hardware could not handle it. What next? Are you going to be like Harmon Smith and sit there and say, oh, the Switch 1 can handle all those games?
And, you know, he has a point. Nintendo hasn't had full third-party support, especially from the AAA sphere, in a long time. And I think that Switch 2 is perfectly set up to get a ton of third-party support, at least over the next 5 years. Now,
the next 5 years, my ass. Maybe the next 2 years if you're lucky.
One of those games it's getting is a game that it did also get on Switch, but people are very curious about.
Yeah, let's just hope that it'll play a hell of a lot better than what you got on the Switch 1. The Switch 1 port was terrible. Now, I'm not going to go into it what he's about to read is sitting there explaining it, because they sat there and made it seem like the one on the Switch was going to run well, so we won't know until the game actually releases.
This is the one that people are clinging on to, and we already heard this from Doug Bowser. So if the tax assumptions change, we will consider that price adjustments would be appropriate, taking into account various factors, including market environment. And this is where people are running with the headlines that Nintendo's going to increase prices of Switch 2. This is literally exactly what Doug Bowser said, that we didn't consider tariffs when we initially priced the system. We're happy with where the price is at.
Oh, that's such bullshit. You know damn well they sat there. They knew about those tariffs coming. They may have not have known exactly how, but they knew that those tariffs were coming. And let's sit there and say that they did raise the prices of them, which eventually they're going to most likely. But let's say that they do. Do you think that the tariffs go away? Do you think they're going to lower those prices? Hell no. They're going to keep them up there because they want to make as much money as possible. They want to rip you off as much as possible. And coward people like you will sit there and accept those horrible price points. You already accept the horrible one of $450 when Japan gets theirs for $330.
If the situation changes, we might have to make adjustments. Literally, Doug Bowser said this like 3 weeks ago, and now we're running headlines yet again about Furukawa repeating what was already said. No, they're not planning to raise the price. They are assuming they don't even need to raise the price. That's why I read that prior sentence first. Furukawa is assuming they are not going to have to make any price adjustments. Their projections all include not making any price changes. However,
that was because they already included the tariffs to begin with. And then when they sit there and talked about, or when Trump sat there and talked about adding more money to the tariffs or adding more of a higher percentage of the tariffs, then they started freaking out because they weren't anticipating it being that much. And they were like, oh no, we're going to have to raise this even more because, of course, they don't want to take a loss for us, but they'll take a loss for Japan.
They have to note that unforeseen circumstances like tariffs massively rising on Vietnam could naturally lead to prices having to go up. So he's just noting that it could happen. They're not expecting it to happen, and they're not planning to raise prices. So a little bit of a misleading headline when you see Nintendo says it's going to go up. Like, no, that's not what they said. But,
Primey, you can believe that if you want to. If that was the case, they would have never rose that damn Mario Kart World to $80. They are planning behind the scenes to raise the prices even further. They are seething at the opportunity. They're hoping that Grand Theft Auto 6 releases at $100 so they can raise the price even further.
People like to clickbait a little bit. Question 5, I would like to ask about the medium to long-term direction of Nintendo Switch Online.
You're sitting there saying that people like to clickbait. You clickbait all the time. You sit there and act like you're a Nintendo fan when you're not. You're nothing but a fanboy.
The number of things you can do throughout the Switch Online, such as Nintendo Music and Game Chat on Switch 2. I think Nintendo Switch Online will continue to grow as a stable source of revenue. I also like to know about the possibility of introducing new elements that make users want to continue subscribing. Achievements, perhaps?
priming, you know damn well they're not going to do achievements. That'll be a great thing for them to do, but when have they ever done anything that was great for the consumer? Now, when it comes to their online thing, of course it's going to grow when they keep releasing games that are multiplayer type games and you want to play online. Just wait till they can finally get Marvel Rivals. If you want to play Marvel Rivals, you're going to have to sit there and pay for that horrible online subscription thing that they got. And then they're like, oh, well, you know, you get the Super Nintendo stuff and now you're going to get GameCube. Oh, yeah, thank you so much. You sit there and give us a bunch of games, but you won't give us the ones that we want. Where are all the Pokemon games at?
Game Chat can be enjoyed not only with Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive titles, but also with titles for Nintendo Switch. We hope that the Game Chat will add new value to our software.
Well, of course it adds value to them. They're saying, oh, we hope it adds value to our software. It adds value to Nintendo because then they can spy on you and sit there and invade your privacy. And when you say something that they don't agree with, they can sit there and act like a bunch of fascist dictators and break your console.
Their developers wanted more power. They didn't want to change what the system was. They just wanted more power. So Nintendo gave them more power. And now we're getting games that they couldn't realize fully on Switch. That's what he's saying. You don't have to believe him if you don't want. But that's straight from the guy who runs Nintendo.
Well, of course they asked for more power. Everybody was screaming for more power a month into the Switch's life cycle. And 2 years into the Switch 2, they're going to be screaming for even more power.
All right. As we dive into this, regarding your question about the innovation of hardware, Nintendo Switch 2 may not look like much has changed.
I mean, it's not really an innovation, okay? All it is a bootleg version of the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck was innovation compared to the Switch 1. This is just the bootleg version.
In appearance, however, the hardware and peripherals have been completely redesigned. It has been completely remade and is packed with the ingenuity and attention to detail.
How can you say it was remade when the Steam Deck did what this couldn't? All they did was sit there and take the Steam Deck and add a few extra specs to it.
Of Nintendo's development team, who developed both the hardware and software together. I feel it has become a very Nintendo-like product. Going forward, we will continue to develop a variety of titles centered around the Switch 2 and provide new play experiences.
Well, they're going to have to sit there and create more titles. You want to know why? Because the third-party support is probably going to end in like 2 years.
By creating hardware that continues to surprise consumers with fresh content, we aim for the Nintendo Switch 2 to be the new standard for Nintendo Switch. What they're basically saying is, if we continue the Switch brand, yeah, we're going to keep doing like a Switch 3, a Switch 4, a Switch 5.
Yeah, and all they're going to be doing is just keep copying the Steam Deck 2, 3, and 4, because the Steam Deck 2 is probably going to be coming out soon.
If we decide to continue it, and we believe the innovation comes in the games themselves, not via the hardware. There's something I talked about before.
Well, of course they would sit there and say like, oh, well, the innovation is going to come in the games, which when was the last game that they made that was innovative except for Breath of the Wild? After that, they have literally just remade most of their games anyways. There's nothing new to them. And of course they can't compete in the hardware space.
Before that, like, you can make all the wonky controller schemes and all this that you want, but ultimately the games are what create the innovation, not the hardware.
Kind of true. But you do need better hardware to play the better games, because you can only innovate the game so much before it's outdated. Okay, eventually they're going to be able to innovate their certain titles. They're going to have better hardware. That's why we're stuck in the situation that the Switch has been in.
So they're basically saying, yeah, we're not really planning to go away from this strategy unless something drastically changes in the Switch family. Like if Switch 2 bombs, yeah, we'll probably decide a new direction. If it goes really, really well, yeah, we're probably going to do a Switch 3.
I don't think that the Switch 2 is going to bomb. What I think we're going to have is between like the 3DS and the DS situation, or DS and 3DS, where the DS sold so well and then the 3DS sold about half. That's what I think we're going to have.
I'm the angry vigilante here to fight the fight, breaking down the walls in the dead of night. I don't come for peace, I come for the storm. Fanboys melt quick when the truth gets warm. All content's high, I'm collecting those tears. Just got started, but I'm cutting through fears. I'm not here for brand deals, I'm not for sale. I expose your lies, rip off the veil.
Console warriors are already losing their minds because it looks so good and they can't handle a really great Switch 2. Good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. What a time to be alive.
Well, I think he is watching my videos because now he's holding up a Yoshi cup. Maybe that might be a coincidence. I'm going to think he knows who I am. So let's get into this review.
Where everybody's hating on the Switch 2 because it looks so good. Let's kick it off there.
Oh, that's BS. We are not all hating on the Switch just because it looks so good. We are hating on it because of people like you are helping Nintendo brainwash your poor subscribers into accepting the horrible overprice of the console and the horrible price point of Mario Kart World.
And people are freaking out, trying to downplay it, say it sucks, and make up reasons why the PS5 is better. Now look.
Well, and this ain't me hating or anything, but the PS5 is better. If we're going by hardware, if we're going by how it looks, graphics, people have compared the PS5 to this. I'm sorry to tell you, it does look better. Now, it doesn't look extremely better. We're not talking about how the Switch version looked to the PS4 or to the PS5 here, but I mean, it does still look pretty damn good. I will give you that one.
I like all games, okay? Over the weekend, I was playing Doom the Dark Ages on my Xbox Series X, okay? I've been playing...
Congratulations. We're so proud of you for sitting here watching other videos. But I do notice, especially with fanboys like you, you're like, oh, well, I don't just like Nintendo because you don't want to sit there and be considered a Nintendo fanboy. I do play other games. The difference is I don't see you helping Microsoft or helping Sony try to brainwash your poor subscribers into accepting terrible anti-consumer practices like you do with Nintendo.
The wonderful Expedition 33 on my PS5, and I'm super excited, obviously, beyond hyped for the Switch 2.
Oh, I bet you are. I swear, when you sit there and go see Doug Bowser, does he give you a warning or does he just tell you to bend over? And you probably just bend over right away and you're like, just be gentle, okay? Just be gentle.
Come on in. Bowser's here. That's my cat. He wants to be involved in every video I ever make, and pretty much everything I do. I can see his little eyes peeking through the door. Hold on. Come on up. Here he is. Cat's here. Hi, baby.
Of course you would have a cat. You are literally like the male definition of a crazy cat lady. Seeing fanboys like you makes me really want to go invest into Purina Cat Chow.
But Cyberpunk looks so good, and people are trying to downplay it. I don't know why we can't just accept and enjoy all consoles, specifically Nintendo. People don't want Nintendo to be doing good.
I actually agree with you for once. Well, there's probably more than once that I agree with you, but I do agree with you this time. How about everything is third party? Why don't we sit there and have Nintendo games on other console and platforms? Wouldn't that be a good thing there? I don't think you would agree with that.
Like I've said before, I think they're just so used to Switch and Nintendo being the baby machine.
They still are, hate to tell you.
That all of a sudden, if it has graphics, they don't really know what to do with themselves. But what they should do is just embrace it and maybe even consider getting one.
Probably most people have already played Cyberpunk 2077. I played it on the PC and I had a phenomenal time. You guys have, if the ones who have never played Cyberpunk 2077, you're getting it on the Switch too. Hey, you guys are in for a heck of a treat. I'm just praying that it actually sits there and plays good, that it doesn't crash a bunch. It's not going to be a terrible port, just like how it was when it first came out. I understand CD Projekt Red's come out saying, oh, it's a strong machine, it's a great machine, and all that, but you do remember they did release that terrible game when it first launched. Just remember that.
Because this console is sick. And there's a little bit of a deeper layer there where people are saying, hey, the Switch 2 is upscaling a game like Cyberpunk 2077 into 4K, whereas the PS5 or a PC is natively running the game at 4K.
Okay. My personal opinion when it comes to the whole thing, whether it's native or upscaling, I personally don't care. If the game plays good and it plays correctly, more power to you. There you go. I'm not going to sit here and throw a fit about whether it's native or not, because I personally don't care.
And yes, there is a technical, factual difference there, but it's not one that I think should define the Switch 2 or really define how you evaluate a system or its games.
This is coming from the guy who sits there and doesn't think that the whole game chat should be factored into the review of the console. You probably don't even think that the $80 Mario Kart World should be factored in also.
If we're upscaling to 4K and it looks fantastic, if we're using DLSS to kind of trick into a better looking game, a better resolution, a better frame rate, by all means, go for it.
Well, of course, you're okay with the whole tricking thing there, 4C, aren't you? With Nintendo tricking you guys into thinking you're getting a deal compared to Japan.
It does not have to be native to be the only way. There's not one console out there that's right. There's not a console that's wrong. They can all be good, and in a way, very much a way.
Very true, but why don't you ever sit there and advocate for Nintendo games to go to other platforms? I've never heard you say that.
It's great if they're all super strong. Competition breeds innovation. Competition breeds trying hard, offering deals.
You know, I need to look up to see how you feel about the whole Power World situation, because that's funny sitting there talking about competition when it comes to Nintendo, because when does Nintendo ever care about competition? Look at what they're doing to Pocket Pair right now.
And making great exclusives. So it's great to see all these games doing well. Game Pass has been on fire as of late. PS5, you know, it's a lot of people's favorite console.
So far, I have been regretting buying my PS5 because they haven't been coming out with a whole lot of first party. Now, I do sit there and enjoy the third party that you get on there. I do prefer to play it on there than on my laptop. That's just because I'm not as PC inclined as a lot of other people are.
And then we have Switch 2, just absolutely a juggernaut. And that juggernaut could be getting a nice boost from Rockstar, as we've got a really big rumor from Games Reactor that sources close to Rockstar saying Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2 would be a good port for the Switch too. You know, and I don't see why they couldn't. It's on the PS4 for crying out loud, so they should be able to do it. Let's just hope they do a better one than the whole GTA trilogy crap that they did.
Is getting a Switch 2 version later this year. Now that would tie in to a next-gen version of RDR2, which has yet to be a thing. Now RDR2 is many people's...
My guy, the Switch 2 is not next gen, it's still technically last gen. The Switch was 2-gen previously. You know this, quit spreading this misinformation. And also with the rumor, they're not just going to make it for the Switch 2, they're also supposed to be making one for the Xbox and the PS5 on top of that. So don't sit there and try to act like they're the only ones that are getting it. You're trying to push the Switch 2 forward. This is why I can't stand fanboys like you spreading this misinformation BS.
Favorite Rockstar game. And I know GTA 6 is all the rage right now. That's not till 2026. And who knows if it's on the Switch 2.
I don't think there's any way that the Switch 2 is going to be able to handle GTA 6, not unless they cloud stream it. Now, somehow Rockstar can do that without making it a terrible port like they did with, or not like Rockstar did, but like what a lot of third-party people did with the Switch 1 games when they came out with the third parties. I will be surprised. My jaw will drop, and I will actually applaud Rockstar for once.
But getting Red Dead Redemption 2 on Nintendo Switch 2 would be a really nice get, I think. That's a game that has a fantastic story. It's got an amazing world. And even though it's a, quote, older game and it's not brand new, I think it's still a great showpiece for a portable like the Switch 2 to say like, hey.
I think it would be, but I know damn well that game's going to be like $60, $70. I bought Red Dead Redemption 2 for the PS4. Yes, it was at Walmart, but I bought it for $20. So I know you guys are going to get ripped off. And this is why I keep saying this, because, you know, Nintendo Prime looked at one of my videos, like, oh, look on the PS5, Hogwarts Legacy is like $70. I said a Target version for one. And the thing is, I'm trying to show you Nintendo Switch people that you guys are getting ripped off. You should not be excited that they brought games like this and they're ripping you off with overpriced ports like they're doing with Hogwarts Legacy especially after that terrible port they gave you guys for the Switch 1.
And I've also seen another rumor that alongside Red Dead Redemption 2 on Switch 2 this year, it will be getting GTA 5 as well. Now, I don't think that's as maybe big of a deal, but that is something that is super cool.
You know, I actually hope GTA 5 does come to the Switch too, because I want to see the look on Harmon's face when it does, because, you know, because he loves talking bad about Grand Theft Auto all the damn time. I bet you if Grand Theft Auto 5 comes to the Switch 2, he won't be talking about all of Grand Theft Auto, but he'll probably sit there and play Grand Theft Auto 5, but then be talking trash about Grand Theft Auto 6.
All the games, and Zelda. And I think that's where sort of this like console warrior fanboy fear comes from of like, okay, Nintendo, we know they have the dominant exclusives. We know they have the games.
Itch please. They don't sit there and have the dominant exclusives. Yes, they have some good exclusives, but Microsoft has some good exclusives and so does Sony. Don't act like the Nintendo is such a superior thing that they got all those damn exclusives. If you want to get down and technical about it, the reason why they sold so many damn consoles was because a lot had to do with the pandemic. And number two, they were cheap. And then you sit there and look at their first party titles. Yes, they were overinflated because you guys had terrible third party support. You guys were pushed out a lot of shovelware. So the only decent games you had on that platform were the first party exclusives. And a lot of them weren't even good.
People loved growing up, and we know that they're able to continue to evolve them, like with Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
That wasn't an evolved game. Tears of the Kingdom was nothing more than an overpriced expansion.
But what do we do now that they're going to have everything?
Everything? Can you please explain everything that they're going to get? Because I'm pretty certain you guys are getting reports of older games. You haven't even been getting the current games. The only current game I see you guys getting is Borderlands 4.
As for when these would release, I think probably around the holiday season. I feel like Rockstar is confident enough that they can compete with anything Nintendo has to offer, and they probably want to avoid that early window issue where third parties maybe aren't getting the love that they deserve, given that Nintendo is not sending out review units for the Switch 2.
Hey, at least you're being honest. That's a nice big FU to the third parties that Nintendo's doing right there. You guys are severely hurting those third party people.
And early on, people are obviously going to prioritize the Nintendo games, and they've got two big ones right out the gates with good old Mario Kart World in June, and then Donkey Kong Bonanza in July.
And see, this is why I make these videos about you Nintendo fanboys, because you guys are the only ones that have an $80 game. Yes, Microsoft said they are going to raise their games to $80, but they have yet to do it. but you guys are helping spread in this $80 BS crap in Mario Kart World. You know it's not worth it, but you guys don't care. You guys are going to buy it because you guys can afford it. You also get a tax write-off for buying it, and you're helping Nintendo brainwash your poor subscribers into buying it.
It's got the graphics, it's got the power, it's got the potential. Give us those day and date new releases. Yes, it's great to get ports. Yes, it's great to get games that were really important to other consoles in past years. But the true sign of Switch 2 success to me, from a third-party standpoint, is do we get the games day and date?
That'll be nice, but I don't see that happening. The only one I see that happening with is Borderlands 4 at the moment. Just wait until the PS6 and the new Xbox comes out. This console is going to be outdated. It's going to be 2-gen previously, just like with the Switch 1. Well, that's it for my reaction. Let me know down in the comments if you agree with me or not. Please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay vigilant.
I'm the angry vigilante here to fight the fight, breaking down the walls in the dead of night. I don't come for peace, I come for the storm. Fanboys melt quick when the truth gets warm. Solve content's high, I'm collecting those tears. Just got started, but I'm cutting through fears. I'm not here for brand deals, I'm not for sale. I expose your lies, rip off the veil.
One of those pertains to the fact that, yes, the Switch 2 has been hacked. It is
I'm the angry vigilante here to fight the fight, breaking down the walls in the dead of night. No room for player essence or your fake parade. Holman Smith, your empire's about to fade. Your empire's about to fade.
Wow. Say it isn't so there, Primey. And weren't some of you fanboys saying it was going to take forever to hack the system? Well, let's get into it.
official. It is real, or at least it looks like it's real. It's really hard to verify, but
Oh, it's real. I mean, it's the first step to hacking the system to be able to mod it. It's not like you could take it fully over and do the home brewing on it, but no, it's been hacked. It's been successfully hacked.
it does look like the Switch 2 has been hacked. We have to talk about what that means and how far away are we from this?
I would say about a year. I mean, I'm not going to hack my system. I'm not going to mod it, so it doesn't really matter. But if I had to make a guess, I would say about a year.
Hack leading to like, oh my God, now homebrew is there and games are being dumped.
And I know that you're just so excited for that to happen, Primey, aren't you? You're seething at the opportunity for that.
Stuff that consumers care about, whether you're a consumer of homebrew and hacking systems and backing up games, or
Well, maybe if Nintendo doesn't enjoy people hacking the systems or modding it, maybe Nintendo should give people a way to be able to back up their games. I mean, they paid for the games. If they want to back them up onto the PC, that's none of Nintendo's business.
you're a good old pirate out there flying on the high seas, or you're just concerned.
I love how everybody is sitting there starts saying the high seas or the seven seas. You know what? Maybe I didn't start it, but I don't remember many people using those terms as often until I started.
About game leaks for things like Donkey Kong Bonanza, Dust Bloods next year, and other games. Now,
You know, I don't have no facts upon this one, so this is just a rumor in my opinion, but I'm pretty certain that those leaks also are happening from insider information, just saying.
besides that, we have some news because there's been a lot of teardowns of the systems, and we learned some things about the control sticks and some positive news.
Oh yeah, I can't wait until we find out about those piece of crap joysticks you were talking about.
Let's talk about the hack. So this David Buchanan guy,
Good job to you, sir. Now, I'm not going to sit there and talk about the whole piracy of things. I want this system to get hacked so we can data mine the games. So we can know for certain if Nintendo is telling us the truth. Like when it comes to Mario Kart World, supposedly they remade everything from ground up. That's one reason why it's supposed to be so expensive. I want to know if that's actually true because it ain't the first time Nintendo has said stuff like that and lied.
says he did a userland ROP on day one, and you can see it running here. There's a little frame buffer graphic running in the top corner. He claims he couldn't full screen this because the frame rate would tank. Now,
Like I said, I know nothing about the hacking and modding scene, so I have no idea what this is really doing.
look, full disclosure here, I am a scrub.
Oh yeah, trust me, we all remember that one, what you did, Primey.
I know nothing about the modding scene. I know some stuff about hacking, but knowing how to hack some things is far different than me being able to hack like a piece of hardware. I'm used to like,
Okay, true. Please continue. Get on with the point. I don't got all damn day.
oh, you want to like hack a piece of software or something. And so I don't really know what this means other than it is a hack.
From what I've been hearing, it's the first step towards fully hacking the system.
So I'm relying on others. So I want to let you know I am outside my bounds. So I just want to give some context I at least saw online. So this was over on the our Nintendo Reddit. This is where I originally saw it.
Well, hey, just make sure you put that it's a rumor if you can't verify it.
This person says, is a user land ROP exploit unless they take it to another stage? It's just that. This guy says, can you please elaborate more? What are the implications? And Whelpsai says this. ROP means essentially that he managed to hijack the control flow of the program he was running.
Which, like I've been hearing from people that are way more knowledgeable about hacking and modding than I know anything about, it is the first step to fully hacking the system.
So that it could run pieces of other code already in memory. Basically running tiny pieces of the software Nintendo wrote in an order, and that way that they just didn't intend it to run.
Sounds about right. Like I said, I know nothing about this.
But it doesn't allow arbitrary code, and it can't yet, if ever, take over the whole device.
Oh, most likely it will. Don't worry. One day that will happen, and I think it might happen pretty damn soon, because I don't think this one is that much different than a Switch. It looks like a Switch Pro. It feels like a Switch Pro. It does not sit there and indicate that this is actually a new console or next gen. Sorry to tell you, Primey.
It could be an entry point to another attack, or not. So essentially, it's a very minor way of getting into the system, but you're just running
Come on, Primey. It's the first step here.
Nintendo's code a little bit out of order. You're not actually getting in and injecting your own code. And while this hack,
Well, that doesn't just generally happen. You don't just hack something right off the bat. Usually you have to do this. From what I've been hearing, I don't know, this is not factual, but from what I've been hearing and the rumors I hear, this is how you start off doing stuff.
could be the beginning. This absolutely could be the beginning that leads to the system being fully hacked.
And I can't wait for that because I want these games to be data mined. I want to know, did they actually use brand new assets, rebuild everything from the ground up for Mario Kart World like some fanboys are trying to tell me?
It might not be. This might not be the method to get in. And right now, you can't actually do anything. It's not like they're injecting their own code. Not like they're putting homebrew on.
Oh, but it's coming there, Primey, and I know you can't wait for that.
It's just the beginning. And look, these ROP hacks are fairly popular from when I was able to Google search online. They happen on pretty much every piece of hardware. So,
And to my knowledge, from what I've heard, there is not a single console out there that does not eventually get hacked. I could be wrong, but was there ever a console that was never hacked?
I'm not going to sit here and panic over it as a consumer that just doesn't want things leaked online.
Oh, Primey, that's not the only reason. Come on, you don't want the piracy to happen either. Be honest.
Also, this person was able to factory reset it and still use it. Nintendo did not brick their system.
Hey, that's very good. Everybody was worried that this was going to happen. I'm pretty certain some of the fanboys were also pushing out there that it was going to brick the system if they did that.
Maybe because he was only executing Nintendo's own code rather than any sort of custom code.
It was probably because he never went online, because how is Nintendo going to know if you do something like that if you're not connected to the internet?
Either way, I'm just going to sit here and go, yeah, the Nintendo Switch 2 has been hacked. Cool. You want to own me on the internet over it? Go right ahead. I already admitted the story I reported on was wrong.
Hey, I will give you props for doing that. At least you sat there and admitted that you were wrong, unlike one of your other brethren. Not going to say no names, but we all know who I'm referring to. Your other brethren definitely doesn't understand the essence in this situation.
And I already admitted that I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But hey, you know what? It's been hacked. It's just kind of a useless hack right now, as nothing can really be done with it. But maybe someday something will.
I wouldn't exactly say it's useless at the moment. This is how all the hacks start, from what I've been told. Like I said, I don't know nothing about the whole hacking thing.
Now we gotta get to another story about game key cards, and I hope this is the last time we have to talk about it, but that's because...
Oh, come on, Primey. That's some wishful thinking on your part. There is no way this is the last time we're ever going to sit here and hear about game key cards. You know damn well because of Nintendo they're here to say. So don't sit there and act like this is going to be your last time. You know far from it that it's not going to be. But if you want it to be the last time, guess what? You Nintendo people, stand up and fight. Push back. It's not very hard.
developers are thanking Nintendo for them. So game keycard might upset gamers, but one insider says publishers are thanking Nintendo.
Of course they're thinking Nintendo, because now they get to sit there and buy a really cheap game keycard thing instead of actually buying the card itself. But part of that is Nintendo's fault, because you only give them one choice, a 64 gigabyte cartridge. They should have went for lower ones, and if they still didn't sit there and choose to put it on a physical cartridge, then you guys should have sat there and fought. But like I've said before, Nintendo people have no fight in them.
So as we go down here, it says, gamers have been quite miffed with game keycards, as many think
Well, obviously not enough of them.
this is just the way the industry is going. It sucks. I hate, all digital future, even though I accepted it on PC a long time ago. But whatever. Let's get into some.
And this is why we're in the situation we're in. Pretty much physical media is gone on the PC. Well, it's completely gone on the PC. It's almost gone on PlayStation. It's pretty much gone on Xbox. You guys were the last bastion of hope. But unfortunately, Nintendo has broke you guys so much to the point you guys have no damn fight left in you.
One thing that's not listed there, as it says, is the Joy-Con 2. And you might go, why isn't the Joy-Con 2 listed? Well,
Oh yes, Primey, please explain why these glorious new Joy-Cons are not on the repair list. I want to hear.
it probably is because the Joy-Con 2 will be having free repairs, just like on Joy-Con 1.
Oh, they better, especially from what I've been hearing. I don't know if he goes into in this video, but in the video he does talk about that the controllers are almost the same as the original Joy-Con controllers from the first Switch.
And that's actually good guy Nintendo. What's not so good is why you might need those repairs.
Probably because they were nothing more than a piece of junk, just like the Switch 1 Joy-Con controllers were. And I don't know if it was you, but there were a bunch of Nintendo fanboys saying, oh no, these ones are way better quality. Please explain.
And that is because, let's get this out of the way. We obviously knew they weren't Hall Effect or TMR.
Oh, no shit, because that's what Nintendo said. And I don't know if it was you, but there were a bunch of Nintendo fanboys making it seem like, oh yeah, these are way premium of quality.
But what we didn't realize, this is an actual Switch 2 stick broken down, is that it's the exact same mechanism. You can see it here.
Oh, which means we're probably going to get stick drift, just like with the other ones.
It's the same mechanism as we had on the Nintendo Switch 1. Now,
oh, you don't say. Please tell me you're going to push back against this. Please tell me you're going to hold Nintendo to the fire.
these are a little bit smaller, and this is a little different in the middle. So there are some micro adjustments to how the stick works. And I can say, based on my own hands-on, the sticks do feel better and smoother.
I will actually agree with them. They do feel better on the outside. Okay, my cousin let me try hers out, and yeah, it does actually feel better. They do look better. They do feel better. On the outside, it does feel like a premium quality product, but apparently on the inside, they definitely cut corners for that one.
But it still could be using that core mechanism. That's what it looks like. And that core mechanism is what led to Joy-Con drift. Now, these micro adjustments they made, not only have they improved the feel of the sticks, maybe they have fixed the drift problem.
You give Nintendo way too much goodwill, Primey.
It is something we're not going to know for probably 6 months to a year if we see Joy-Con 2 drift start popping up.
I hope we don't, but most likely we will. And now it's time to read off the members of the channel. We got Koros Objective, Maximilian Pegasus 88, Mad Fox 94, Watari, Shade Milkman, Oh No It's Justin, Brian Payne, Jay Wesby 65, Andy Ritz, Sea Stars Piplup, Cam, and Austrius Lane. Thank you so much for becoming part of the crew. And if you truly enjoy this content, why don't you think about becoming a member? It's only $1 a month. You get special emotes, badges, and you get a shout out at the end of each video until it becomes too long, and then it'll be turned into a credit roll. And also, I got an awesome merch lined up for you guys. I got amazing shirts, hoodies, I got coffee mugs, I got desk mats, I got a bunch of different kinds, so why don't you check it out also. And please like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, guys, stay vigilant.
You can cry in the comments, but you won't survive. Like and subscribe if you feel that vibe. We're hurting so